February 1959. The Ural Mountains, Russia. 9 of the most experienced hikers in the Soviet Union set off on an expedition they had trained months for. They never came back. When rescue teams finally found their camp 3 weeks later, they discovered something that made no sense. The tent had been cut open from the inside. The hikers had fled into the snow in the middle of the night in -30-degree temperatures, without shoes, without coats, without any explanation. 6 were found dead from hypothermia. 3 from injuries so severe, investigators said they could only have been caused by a force comparable to a car crash. 1 was missing her tongue. This is the Dyatlov Pass incident, one of the most disturbing and debated mysteries in modern history. And after 65 years, no one has been able to fully explain what happened that night. Who were they? The year is 1959. The Soviet Union is at the height of the Cold War, and a group of 10 young people, mostly students from the Ural Polytechnical Institute, decide to do something extraordinary. They want to complete a Category 3 hiking expedition, the highest difficulty rating in Soviet mountaineering. Their destination? Otto-Turn Mountain, deep in the northern Ural range. The group is led by Igor Dyatlov, 23 years old, an experienced hiker and engineer. He has led multiple difficult expeditions before. Everyone who knows him trusts him completely. The others are Zinaida Kolmogorova, Rustem Slobodin, Yuri Doroshenko.
The journey begins. On January 23rd, 1959, the group boards a train from Sverdlovsk. They keep a detailed group diary and take photographs. By all accounts, spirits are high. By February 1st, they have reached the slope of a mountain called Holatsyakhl, which in the local Mansi language means dead mountain. They set up camp on the slope of the mountain, rather than in the sheltered valley below. Investigators later found this strange. Experienced hikers would normally seek protection from the wind, but for reasons unknown, Dyatlov chose the exposed slope. That night, something happened. Something that caused 9 trained, experienced, level-headed mountaineers to abandon their tent in pure terror and walk to their deaths in the frozen dark.
Nobody comes home. By mid-February, the group has missed their scheduled return date. No telegram, no signal, nothing. On February 26th, search teams find the camp. What they find makes experienced rescuers stop in their tracks. The tent is still standing, but it has been cut open from the inside with a knife. Not torn by wind, not opened normally. Cut deliberately from inside. All of the group's belongings are still inside. Food, equipment, shoes, warm coats, everything they would need to survive. And leading away from the tent, down the slope toward the tree line, 8 or 9 sets of footprints, walking calmly at first, then further down, running. All of them left in socks or bare feet.
The bodies. The first 2 bodies are found at the edge of the tree line, nearly a mile from the tent. Yuri Doroshenko and Georgy Krivonishenko. They are in their underwear. Their hands are burnt. They had been trying to build a fire. They died of hypothermia. Between the tree line and the tent, 3 more bodies are found. Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolmogorova and Rustam Slobodin. They are positioned as if they were trying to crawl back to the tent. All three died of hypothermia. The search teams assume the last four are somewhere under the snow. They are right. 2 months later, in May, the final four are found buried under 4 meters of snow in a ravine not far from the tree line. And this is where the case stops making sense entirely.
The injuries that changed everything. The first 5 hikers, the ones found on the slope, showed no signs of physical trauma beyond frostbite. The cold had killed them. But the 4 found in the ravine, their injuries were on a completely different level. Nicolas Thibault-Brignolet had massive skull fractures. Not a blow to the head, the bone had been crushed inward, as if by enormous compressive force. Lyudmila Dubenina and Semyon Zolotaryov had multiple broken ribs. The Soviet forensic examiner described the force required as equivalent to being hit by a car at speed, but with no external wounds on the skin. The injuries were internal, as if something had crushed them without touching the surface. And then there was Lyudmila Dubenina. Her tongue was missing. Her eyes were missing. Parts of her lips and facial tissue were gone. The official report attributed this to decomposition and animal activity, but investigators and researchers have argued about this ever since. Because the ravine was frozen, bodies in those conditions do not decompose quickly, and some of the tissue loss did not match animal feeding patterns.
The radiation. When the clothing of some of the hikers was tested, it showed elevated levels of radioactive contamination. Not dangerous levels, but measurable, unexplained. The Soviet authorities said it was contamination from prior camping trips. Researchers have never been fully satisfied with that answer. The orange skin. Several hikers had an unusual orange or tan discoloration to their skin. Investigators attributed this to post-mortem changes, but witness accounts of seeing the bodies described it as striking and unusual, unlike normal decomposition. Lights in the sky. In the weeks around the incident, multiple independent witnesses, including other hiking groups and military personnel in the region, reported seeing unusual glowing orbs or bright lights moving across the sky over the Ural Mountains at night. The Soviet authorities noted these reports and then, apparently, did nothing with them.
Theory 1. An avalanche. For decades, the most common explanation was a sudden avalanche. The hikers hear it coming, cut open the tent to escape quickly, and are swept down the slope, which explains the crush injuries. The problem: no avalanche debris was found at the site. The slope angle was only around 23 degrees, too shallow for a spontaneous avalanche, and Soviet rescuers who arrived weeks later found no evidence of snow displacement. In 2021, a Swiss research team used computer modeling and concluded that a small, unusual slab avalanche was actually possible under the specific snow conditions that night. Many researchers now consider this the most likely primary cause. But it still does not explain the missing tongue, the radiation, or the strange lights. Theory 2. Infrasound. Some researchers have proposed that specific wind conditions in the Ural Mountains can create infrasound, low-frequency sound waves below the range of human hearing. Infrasound at certain frequencies can cause intense panic, disorientation, visual disturbances, and a powerful sense of dread, without any visible source. This could explain why 9 experienced rational people abandoned their tent in a blind panic in the middle of the night. It doesn't explain the crush injuries.
Theory 3.
Soviet military testing. The Ural region was heavily used for Soviet military operations during the Cold War. Some researchers believe the group stumbled into an active weapons test, possibly involving pressure wave munitions, which could explain internal crush injuries without external wounds. The Soviet authorities sealed the investigation files for decades. The full case files were only partially released in the 1990s, and some documents are still restricted. Skeptics point out that if the military was responsible, a cover-up would have been far cleaner. The bodies would have simply disappeared. Theory 4. Karstic activity. A newer theory proposes that underground gas venting from karst formations beneath the snow could have caused sudden pressure events, explaining both the panic evacuation and the crush injuries. This theory is compelling, but difficult to verify, as the geology of the specific site has not been fully studied. Theory 5. The Mansi people. The Mansi are the indigenous people of that region, and the mountain the hikers camped on, Kholat Saklat, is considered sacred to them. Early investigators briefly suspected foul play by Mansi individuals protecting their land. This theory was quickly abandoned. The footprints at the scene were consistent only with the 9 hikers. No other tracks were found, and the nature of the injuries was inconsistent with any human attack.
What do we actually know? Here is what the evidence, after 65 years of investigation, most strongly supports. Something, most likely a sudden and unexpected snow or pressure event, caused the group to panic and evacuate the tent in the middle of the night. Given the conditions, they could not return. The cold killed most of them within hours. The 4 in the ravine almost certainly fell or were carried into it, either trying to find shelter or disoriented in the dark. The crush injuries may have been caused by a snow slab collapse within the ravine itself. The missing soft tissue on Dubinina is most likely post-mortem, water flow and small animals in the ravine over 2 months. The radiation is unexplained, but probably connected to equipment from prior trips rather than anything at the site. The lights in the sky remain genuinely unresolved. But here is the honest truth. We don't actually know. Not fully, not conclusively. Russia reopened the official investigation.
If you want to go deeper into this case, the links below will take you to the original declassified Soviet files, the 2021 Swiss avalanche study, and the documentary series filmed at the pass. And if you think we missed something, or if you have a theory of your own, drop it in the comments. The archive reads everything. The next case file drops next week. Subscribe so you don't miss it.